Everybody, with veterans in America, we've talked about it a lot on the show. One of the things a lot of people don't know about is that our women veteran, our female service members, when they get out, they have a huge homeless issue. It's one of the largest issues in the country when it comes to our female service members, not just our male service members. Add into that most female service members, when they get out, have children. And when they check into these homeless shelters, they're greeted by probably one of the most dangerous things, because nobody's checked to be a pedophile or anything like that. These families go through absolute torture. And these are our nation's heroes, not to be mistaken from the same heroes that are men. These are our service women, just like the great Lisa Bodenberg and Kirstie Enos and others who we've had on our show that represent this fine country. Today's guest is going to talk about her mission. Now, our guest is very well qualified. In fact, the great Oprah Winfrey gave her award as a distinguished and most appreciated person just a few years ago. So let's get to the point and let's learn more about our guest today. All this and more coming up next. And this is To The Point. It's Military Monday. We have a fantastic guest for us today. I'm excited about today's guest. I've known this guest for several years. Her mission to help our nation's veteran is amazing. She's actually been through the struggle herself. What struggle am I talking about as I led in? We're talking about our homeless female veterans in our country. Our guest today runs an organization called Final Salute, Inc. Final Salute, Inc.'s mission is to help get female servicewomen off the streets and in safe homes, so their children and themselves are safe from the predators that exist out there, that they don't get the protection when they go into homeless shelters. This is a huge issue. Over 55,000 female service members a year are affected by this. This is huge. It's not talked about. It's another issue. Just like sexual assault and harassment in our ranks is not talked about, this issue goes largely ignored. While we worried about building walls and other things, we ignore our veterans. And as you guys know, I get on my pulpit when it comes to our nation's finest. And that's right. And I'm not going to ad-lib here, and I'm not going to sugarcoat this. When it comes to our nation's veterans, I'm sick and tired of the veterans always being on the back panel. And if I don't say PTSD and it affects everyone else, when I said Montel Williams said he had a cure for PTSD, I got some hate mail from several people who said, well, why didn't he say first responders? Why didn't he say healthcare workers? Why didn't he say people who've been in a car crash? I don't know why he didn't say it, probably because he's a veteran and he puts his people first. It's no offense. If you're a first responder, obviously, if we say there's a cure for PTSD, we mean you too. We're not saying that we don't care about you, so get off your high horse and don't send me hate mail, because yeah, you get exposed here. Because I don't tolerate it, because I believe in helping everybody. So singling me out because I don't sit there and put your hashtag on blast, I'm not an enemy of yours. I'm actually helping you. So this amazing guest today is here to talk about this situation. And the other thing about our guest is she also has an amazing Miss Veteran America, which is an amazing pageant that showcases our amazing servicewomen in our country. Amazing servicewomen. And she does this while raising a family. Her story is amazing. She's been honored as a CNN hero. She's been honored by Oprah Winfrey. She's been honored by the Red Cross. You could see her everywhere. She is one of the most amazing veterans we have in America today. I am honored to bring my good friend and today's guest to the show, the wonderful and the terrific Miss Jas Boothe. Welcome to the show, Jas. How you doing today?
I am doing great. How are you?
I'm awesome. When I'm talking to you, it's awesome. I was telling the folks before you came on about how passionate, why I'm a huge fan of you, because you talk about a group of individuals who I highly respect, obviously, as being in the service. Veterans, no matter who they are important to us, but our female service women go largely ignored. We always talk about a homeless issue with our vets, but our service women just get ignored. I mean, we already both know how it's sexual harassment and assault are treated in the ranks. And we've seen it very clearly with Vanessa Guillen has been in the news, and it's been largely ignored by the conservative media. I mean, even senators and sitting congresspeople, and even one who's a Navy SEAL, who strangely, actually he did write a book, so I can't even say he didn't write a book, both from Texas, basically ignored Vanessa Guillen and ignored the repeated assaults that have gone on at Fort Hood. I mean, I haven't met anybody, I know you were in the Army, but I have yet to meet anybody in the Army who's like, Fort Hood's awesome. Like, Fort Hood's a great place to be. You see another person who's like, nope, Fort Hood sucks. That's great. It's interesting. So why is there such a big issue with service women coming out and being homeless? Why does this happen?
Oh, I think that question it's multi-tiered. Yeah. One, I will say the biggest thing is they don't get the recognition. Let me start over. That's not a real word. They don't get the recognition of our male counterparts. I'm married to a Marine combat veteran. My oldest son is an Air Force combat veteran. But when you say women combat veteran or female combat veteran, people are like, oh, you guys are in combat? Yeah. I mean, we're everywhere the guys are. You know, we accept all the dangers and the responsibilities when we take our oath. And I think the media has some play in it because of how we're portrayed and how we are not shown. So if you look at when the war was going on, they were always showing the men, you know, in the trenches, the men doing this, the men doing that. They didn't show the people like Marissa Strock, who was a double amputee, or Sue Downs, who lost her legs in IED attacks. They don't talk about, you know, the women who have, you know, beyond the injuries, who have made the final, you know, the ultimate sacrifice. They say some gave all and all gave some. And so it's not portrayed. Even when you look at some of the nonprofit commercials, you'll see a disabled male veteran being taken care of by his wife. And I'm like, I'm a disabled female veteran. My husband takes care of me. But that story, it doesn't, you know, generate as much fanfare or as much, you know, I don't know, heartstring tug, because I'm not seeing as deserving, because my story or our stories really haven't been told to the totality of what we truly sacrifice. We leave our children behind to go serve. We leave our husbands behind to go serve. And we sometimes come back as different people who come back with PTSD, major depressive disorder, military sexual trauma, and other, you know, ills of war. But again, those stories are not told. So we're just seen as support personnel, you know, sitting in the back, probably earning the men's uniform, making their meals, make sure they're heavily fed and supplied so they can go off and do men stuff. And that is just not the true story of our service and our sacrifice. So when you look at the division of how the money and the budgets are written, women veterans are at the bottom of the totem pole, because again, we're not seen as deserving. And so that's why that accounts for the rising numbers of homeless women veterans, and over 70% of homeless women veterans have children. And we know that most of the VA funded centers don't take in women with children, or they have stipulations on how many children you can have, the genders of the children, or the age of the children. So it just starts from a low point and just goes lower and lower. And so the options are just limited. Some women end up losing their children. Some women end up staying in co-ed facilities with registered male sex offenders. Or some women just opt to stay in domestic violence situations. Yeah, I'm getting beaten, but at least my children have, you know, food and a place to lay their heads. That should never be an option for anybody who's worn that uniform.
Absolutely. I mean, sorry, every time you tell this story, and I've known you for a number of years and sat next to you as you were accepting awards on this, I still sit here and it angers me, right? And you bring up interesting things. I always think of you. Just a few weeks ago, Tammy Duckworth, who I'm sure you're aware of, Senator Duckworth, lost both her legs, W amputee, combat veteran, amazing Army veteran at that. She was attacked by I'll say Tucker Carlson, who seems to hate all things veteran unless you happen to be a white dude. But Tucker basically called her a moron, and it was accepted. And I went on like a warpath on social media because why was it okay? Why was it okay for everybody to be pissed off at Pete Davidson, who made a very funny joke on Crenshaw when he said in 2016, I'm still laughing because it's funny, he said Crenshaw looks like the villain in a bad porn. It's true, with the patch and everything he does. It was funny. I don't think anybody was really offended except Tucker Carlson and other people, but our women are just so disrespected in our ranks. And then you talk about homeless. So I just had to get out how much I hate Tucker Carlson. That's just part of the show.
I have a Tucker Carlson story of my own, ironically. So
let's tell Tucker stories. I love. Let's bash on him because he had me like. Everyone felt my wrath when it came because I was so mad because I look at number one, it doesn't matter male, female, amputee. Period. If you are a double amputee and you served our country, and the person talking about you didn't, how dare you say anything? You have no right to call that person a moron and or whatever he called her. He called her a whole bunch of names. He's never served and he has an issue clearly with it. I attempted to tag these guys during the 75 days that Vanessa Guillen was missing to even just get them to retweet or share the story. I'll call them all out by name. I couldn't get Greg Kelly, United States Marine, who sits on Newsmax. Couldn't get him to respond. I hit Mr. Pete Hedgesmith, the Fox Point guy who will sit there with the flag and's got We the People tatted on his arm. And he's ultimate Captain America Army guy. He'll thank you for his service any chance he gets. And then Tucker Carlson. I actually hit him up too, asked on Twitter, can you guys share these stories? You claim you love us veterans. You claim you love the military, you do nothing. Vanessa Guillen went ignored. But if it was a blonde girl, I guarantee you they'd have Nancy Grace posted up at the front gate of Fort Hood going, what's going on? But it was Lil Latino girl who reported all this stuff. Well, was it reported? And I'm like, obviously you don't know anything about the military. Obviously, and we did a show with two amazing veterans who I'd love to introduce you to because I think they would be great for what you're doing. We had a Marine Corps door gunner, Lisa Bodenberg. Awesome, badass, right? Door gunner, like who's gonna argue with her? And she boxes. Right. She's like a professional boxer now. Like I wouldn't cross her. I'd be afraid of her, and I'm not afraid of very much. And then Jessie Jane was on her show. She was in the Army and reported not one, not two, not three, not four, 5 sexual assaults in the Army, reported them, and they told her, are you sure? Are you sure? So then I go back to Tucker, and it makes my blood boil. Of course, blood boiling. Then I go, oh my God, I can just imagine Jas with the side eye with what the hell are these people thinking? I want to hear your Tucker story now because this guy makes my blood boil. So I want to hear your Tucker story. Let's go.
Right. So I don't know if you remember a few years ago when I got the call about the homeless woman veteran, Serena Vine, who was going to be buried without any family. The VA was just basically going to go there, say a few remarks and put her in the ground. And I was like, absolutely effing not. She was found roaming the streets, probably with dementia, ended up in the VA hospital and died in the VA hospital, homeless. And Tucker Carlson, I saw him in the hallway and he said, well, if she was in the hospital, then she wasn't homeless. And I'm like, a hospital is not a home. She was homeless. She died alone in a hospital bed, in a hospital room. She couldn't get up if she got better and go to a home. She had nowhere to go. She was homeless. So he argued with me. And I was just like, this guy just doesn't get it. Yeah. But, I mean, just like if you stay in a shelter, you are still homeless. Even though you have shelter and food and someone helping you, you are still homeless. Like, that's not your permanent residence. I don't know. Obviously, he can't relate. Yeah. Or he couldn't twist his mind around it, but it was just like, I don't have to tell stories, made up shit to get people to pay attention to me. I've been doing this for 10 years. I know the truth. I know the odds and ends. Oh, and by the way, I lived it. I slept on my aunt's couch. He would probably argue that I wasn't homeless. My aunt's couch is not a home. It's my aunt's freaking couch. And luckily she had that couch so me and my son would be homeless. But it's just the people who are so removed don't understand. Who can't understand the concept of being at the mercy of somebody else's will, at the mercy of somebody else's kindness. Luckily she had that VA hospital to go to. Luckily they found her, on the streets in time for something else bad or worse to happen to her. But to say that a homeless veteran living in a hospital is not like it didn't matter. It's like, oh, why are we even doing this story? Because well, she wasn't homeless, and she was in a hospital. I'm like, that is, you know what? Have a good day, bro. He just wasn't getting it, and
he's out of touch.
My Chicago was starting to peak. And when my Chicago starts to peak, that's what I call my inner ghetto is starting to come out. So I just had to break contact and leave the news station. But it's crazy, and his mindset, I think, is because, like, the federal definition of homelessness doesn't take account into women veterans who couch surf and live with family. They're not counted because, again, they're not seen as homeless. If your name is not on that lease, or if your name is not on that deed, you are at the mercy of whoever you're staying with. You are homeless. And people need to understand that that's great that you have these people to help you, but because of that definition, that means you can't get help till you are physically on the street. And who would require a woman, not even a woman who served her country, but just a woman, period, with a small child, to be literally on the streets in order to be seen and recognized as homeless? Now you've hit rock bottom. Now let's help you, because people love a wonderful Pet the Vet story, and we swoop them up, from Skid Row, and I'm just like, they didn't even have to be there in the first place.
Yep.
And then, like you say, like, being disrespected. It's okay for you to disrespect the veteran, right? But if but in the same token, you are ranting and raging about kneeling during a football game, talking about disrespecting our veterans. You literally just called Tammy Duckworth a Purple Heart recipient and decorated veteran among a political ray of sunshine, a moron. But but you better not damn kneel. Like, you can't have it both ways. And me personally, I am so tired of being used as a veteran as political fodder. Yep. And it's, if it doesn't go align with your ideologies, my thing is, like, you're either for veterans or you're not. You can't be for a veteran from a conservative aspect or a veteran from a liberal aspect, because we don't get to choose who we die for. We don't get to choose who we defend. So it's really nice for those people to call us morons.
Yeah. So let me ask you, you brought up a very trending topic, and then we're going to go back. I want to tell your story because it's amazing. But you brought up kneeling, right? And somehow over the last, obviously Cap did a great job bringing it up 3 years ago, and everybody ignored it. But now it's a huge issue. Now everybody's doing it, honoring. I love what the NBA is doing. I'm a huge fan of it. I love the NFL is doing it. It's good to see J.J. Watt doing it. And everybody, all Tucker's friends, are coming out and saying, well, I'll never watch football again. I'll never watch the NBA again. I'll never watch any of these sports. And I'm like, bye. Thank God you're not going to watch it. Then I don't have to hear you ruin it by telling me. But when did this become, and I'm just asking you, you served longer than I did. When did the national anthem become about the military? I guess I missed that memo along the line, that kneeling, not putting your hand over your heart. How did we get dragged into it? I don't understand when this became a veteran or military. And I see people, oh, it's disrespecting the vet. I'm like, I'm not disrespected. I'm cool with them doing it. I loved what the WNBA did, walking off the court for Breonna Taylor. I thought that was outstanding. I was like, thank God. This is not about our flag. It's a material. It has no value to me. It's a flag. The national anthem's great. However you choose to do it, stand up, sit down, fight. I don't give two craps. But when did it become about us? Like, did I miss the memo? Did I?
It became about the military when a black man did it. Let's just call it what it is. Had he been just a highly decorated Ranger guy or a highly decorated veteran Purple Heart recipient, somebody that was just, so highly respected, and he did it, they would have sucked it up. Oh my God, look at this man who fought for our freedom, exercising his First Amendment rights that he fought for. But since a black man did it, okay, let's not pretend that that racism doesn't exist. It's still here. Yeah. It's alive and well. Yeah. And for people who stop, it ticks me off when people say I don't see color. Okay, so why are you coloring your damn? Okay, so why do you have blonde hair and black roots. You obviously see color because it's time for you to go get a touch up.
Yep.
You know, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's systematic racism, and because he did it, Tom Brady would have kneeled. Oh my God, he would have been the hero of heroes. We have a racism problem in this country, and because a black man led an initiative, and even though other white celebrities and stuff signed on and helped them, it's because he did it.
Yep.
You know, had he not been who he was or the color of who he is, I don't think they would have made it about veterans. And so, since you can't attack a black man, so had they attacked him as a black man, well, obviously they would have been called out for being racist. So what can we do to get everybody on board and hate him? Yeah. Let's make it about the troops. You're disrespectful. Yeah, run that. And that's what happened.
But we threw him for a loop because we even brought Green Beret Nate Boyer into the mix, and somehow he's now disrespected because he's the one that went to him. Here's, Nate. Everybody loves Nate. Nate's a good dude. I've met Nate on countless occasions. I've had good conversations with him. Nate didn't do anything. Nate was like, bro, kneeling is totally respectful. And it is. It's proven since like the Middle Ages that it's respectful. And no matter what, I now see people, I put a post on Instagram of Nate standing next to Cap, and I've been viciously attacked. Again, in fact, somebody said, it made me chuckle, well, because it says why Nate told what Nate told Cap. Person told me, well, I once had a veteran told me I should jump off a bridge and end my life. I'm like, oh, but what does that have to do with me? I'm sorry somebody told you that as advice. They obviously aren't good people, but that doesn't have anything to do with what Cap did. God. It's an issue that has pissed me off. We had Montel on the show. Montel's on once a month on our show, and we've been talking about this, and this isn't decades. This is hundreds of years of race issues in our country that's been ignored. We have constantly done this, and it continues to go. And it's like people who say all lives matter. It makes me cringe. It's like, no shit. That's like saying all buildings mattered on 9/11. Duh. It's like air is important. Thank you. I know that. But why do my brothers and sisters that are black have to be harassed by cops, but I can walk down the street and go, I don't know what that feels like. I don't know what it feels like, but damn it, I'm going to raise my voice about it, and I'm going to use every damn one of my followers to make sure I get my voice. I don't care. I'll take the hate mail. I'll take the racist crap. I don't really care. I'm a big boy, and they haven't said anything that offends me. Talk about my mom. Talk about my weight. Talk about whatever you want. I'm going to do my part. I wish I would have done something sooner. I've talked to a lot of people but I'm going to continue putting my voice out there, and I don't care because we have to do it, and it needs to be taken care of. Just like getting veterans, female veterans, our service women off the street. I'm going to pivot off of this because we're both going to get really hot about this and start like we're going to have enough people coming after us after this. But let's talk about your story, Jas.
I don't care.
Yeah, either do I.
I'm 6 foot 200 pounds. I'm not scared.
And you're from Chicago. Nobody mess with people from Chicago.
That's right. And I have a Marine who's fully weaponized, so yeah. We're good.
We're good. She's good. Don't worry, folks. Jas doesn't have any fear in her. Trust me, I've hung out with Jas, and I felt very protected. And I'm a Marine, and I was a grunt, and I was like, I felt safe with just Jas being next to me. I was like,
voices are very powerful things, and that's why people attack them. Because that's how you get information out, and that's how you turn around misinformation. When I first started my journey towards supporting homeless women veterans, I would be in environments where there were organizations who were supporting male veterans, and people would be like, oh my God, we got to support the male veterans because they fought for our freedom, they died for our freedom, they X, Y, and Z. And then in the same token, they would turn to me and say, well, why are these women having babies that they can't take care of? Because obviously we have babies on our own. Or, why aren't they using their education benefits? Why? So the male veteran, and I've served with some soup sandwiches who were both male and female. But every man is seen like, a John Cena or Dwayne Johnson. And I'm like, hey, I served with a bunch of Kevin Harts in my days too. So it's, it's the facade that they've put up of how male veterans are. It doesn't matter what job they had, what they did. When you see a male veteran, you automatically see a hero. When you see a woman veteran, you usually don't even recognize. Like, I don't know how many times I go to Home Depot and someone starts walking up towards me, and so I get up the car and they see I'm pretty tall. They're like, well, yeah, it's okay. Like, yeah, I'm the veteran. This is my vehicle, and I'm allowed to park here. But even if I wasn't, Nobody died for an effing parking space. Like, seriously, like, there would be so much less, videos for World Star Hip Hop if people would just mind their own damn business. And it's gotten so out of hand with people just, you can't even walk, you can't be black while walking, you can't be black while reading a book, black getting a cup of coffee. And it's just like, what has happened in our country to the point where we're, as American people, we're starting to revert back to like the 1960s. We're starting to revert back to times where, it was okay to be disrespectful and it wasn't checked. And it's like the time is repeating ourselves, but we're supposed to be such a progressive nation. I'm going to say something that's probably going to upset some people, but yes, racism exists in the military too. Sexism obviously exists in the military. Vanessa wasn't the first, and she probably won't be the last until that system has changed. But you also have to realize there are a lot of people, of women, who get out of the military and end up homeless because of military sexual trauma, because of sexual assault, and just because they are not supported in their military careers. And so they leave before they're ready. They leave without the skills that they went there to get, and some of them are put off a personality disorder that they didn't have. But that's another way to label them as being crazy, as opposed to saying what really happened, with this veteran. We're not taken seriously in the military on some accounts. I mean, it's in some leadership systems is better, but in some it's not. But obviously there's a problem at Fort Hood. But these women are getting out. But again, how we've been categorized as, a second-class veteran, that is being shown through the lack of supportive services that are available to us. And so I chose to create a unique supportive services in an organization called Final Salute, due to me being homeless because of a cancer diagnosis and losing everything to Hurricane Katrina when I was getting ready to deploy to Iraq. And I went to the VA and they looked at me like I was foreign matter. What, a woman veteran? Why are you here? I don't know, because I'm a veteran. And they said to come here. And they said, oh, but you have an illegitimate child, so you should go get on welfare and food stamps like other women in your situation. Again, I had to contain my inner ghetto, because how disrespectful was that? And that's not to say to be against any women who need welfare, but as a woman veteran, you shouldn't have to go to a welfare system or to a welfare office when there's a department that has sworn to take care of you and was created to take care of you. But a lot of us are being turned away. There are some VAs you can't even get women wellness checks at. I live out in the country now, and but when I was in the DC VA medical system, you would have to go through a gauntlet of cat calls before you could even get to your appointment. Male veterans.
I've sat next to you. Remember? We were in Chicago together. I sat next to you when we were sitting there eating that. Remember that awesome bacon we had? Side note, that was awesome bacon we had.
Yeah, bacon.
That bacon was bomb, right?
Yeah.
See, it's years later. You know it was bomb when two people remember bomb bacon together. But I remember you sitting there trying to get an appointment and watching your frustration. I was blown away by it. Like, still to this day, I tell that story, Jas. So what you're talking about is it's so alarming that it still goes on, that our service women, who are to me equal as our male counterparts, or I'm a male counterpart, dumbass Marine putting himself in third person. That's what happens around here. I got so many women in my dang house, I become one of them just by talking to. I got too many ladies in my house. But I mean, I feel your pain and your story. The reason why you created it is when you went through it. But here's my thing, Jas. You have amazing awards underneath your belt. You've been honored by CNN as a CNN hero. But when I go use your name, and I consider you one of the best veterans out there as an advocate for veterans, as a veteran. To me, that's my personal opinion. Just like people go, Gary Sinise. Well, Gary never served. Love you, Gary, but you never served. Montel Williams. I think Montel does amazing things for veterans. Once again, two different people. But I say your name. Everybody goes Montel. I know Montel had a TV show, but he's been off for a long time. I say your name, and I get countered with somebody else. It's like a veteran owns a t-shirt company or something. And I'm like, Jas is like honored by Oprah, damn it. Oprah, the queen. Like, before Beyonce, there was Oprah. Like, Oprah, CNN hero, it's a huge thing. Oh, CNN. Oh, she must be liberal. I'm like, what the hell what?
I've been on Fox News a few
I
times.
know you have. That's what's funny. It's
Just saying.
yeah.
And that's in NBC. I've also been on ABC.
You've been everywhere. I mean, you're
Google
honored by the
me.
Red Cross.
You know.
You've done more for veterans as a whole than anybody else. But we talk about our female veterans. Besides Final Salute Inc., which is an amazing organization, go check it out, donate to it. If you're watching, that's what you should do. But you also have Miss Veteran America, which
Yes.
you got a bunch of badasses out there, and I could list off a whole bunch of names because I follow all of them because they're awesome. And go check out. Let's talk about that.
Yes.
We'll kind of ride the roller coaster here, and we'll talk about nice things too because we can. Quickly, you learn we bring the fire in this up. We can get angry. We'll get angry again in a minute, but let's talk about something awesome. Miss Veteran America is amazing. I tell everybody about it. The women you have in there, these are just badasses. I mean, I don't have another word for it. I use the word badass.
Yeah, you know.
So
along my advocacy, like I said, when I was out there, women veterans were always portrayed as, damsels in distress or women who needed saving. And I'm like, that's not who we are. We are war fighters. We are the Wonder Women. We are the saviors. You got women MPs that were out there in Iraq and Afghanistan. I bring up Marissa Strzok again because she lost both of her legs out there in the trenches. Like, you don't lose your legs, sitting on the fob doing nothing. And so we're fighting. We're out there. You have, we have women who are Silver Star recipients. Her name escapes me right now. What is her name? You know what I'm talking about. I have to find her name, and you'll have to bring her up later. Right. Leanne Hester, okay. Sergeant Leanne Hester. Mm-hmm. Who got her gun and saved her brothers in arms. Yep. So it's like we are out there, but those stories are not being told, or they're only being told through women veteran channels. And it's sad, but it's just crazy because for what we've done, like I tell people, IEDs and stuff don't gender discriminate, so it'll be great when America stops. But I created Miss Veteran America to show the grace, beauty, poise, and resilience that we have as women, but also in recognizing the roles that we have as women, but also the roles that we have as war fighters. But it's great now to say that we have women who can complete Ranger School, who are doing the damn thing and showing, we can be up there. That ain't me. I've already had both my knees replaced, but maybe back in my heyday, back in my Ford Tough days, but right now, no. But the fact that we, and my thing is, had we been given the opportunity to do these things years ago, we could have done these things years ago, but it just was not allowed to us because we were not seen as being able to do it, but now we've shown that we can. And so Miss Veteran America is a culmination of everything that we have achieved as women veterans, but as told by women veterans firsthand. And so we've actually moved to a virtual platform this year because we don't want anybody getting sick, and I definitely don't want to be getting sick. So we will have Miss Veteran America. It will be done virtually. And it's going to be a great show. Virtual platforms are king nowadays because that's how we're surviving to keep our social distance. But in speaking of badasses, we have Kirstie Enos, who is our keynote speaker. Yeah. Pat Tillman, ESPN award winner, and just overall badass female veteran and amputee. So we have these women and we put them on the pedestal that they should be on in all of their glory. But also we also tell the stories that are not being told. But also I get tired of people talking for me, and it's just like I can talk for my damn self. Yep. So we have 25 women with 25 of their own stories that are being told firsthand. You get these highly paid researchers, and they're telling you about women veterans and this and this, and it's like I can talk for my damn self, doctor, whoever you are. I don't need you to tell people about me. So this is an opportunity for us to also let our hair down from being pinned up so long in the military, enjoy being women, but also showing that it's okay to be equally women and equally warrior. And that's what Miss Veteran America is all about.
I love it. And we had Kirsty on our show, like one of our early episodes. Absolutely. She is the epitome. There's so many badasses, but that one right there, I mean, trying to climb all these summits, true story. I love what she said. We asked her about Mount Everest, and I was like, so you almost made it.
Yeah.
And she's like, I could have made it, but my team couldn't. So we stopped and turned around, and I'm like, you're a badass. You just said all these Sherpas, and I had to laugh because 3 weeks later, I interviewed a Navy SEAL, Doug Mann. Great guy, served like 16 years in the teams. He attempted Everest, and mind you, he's like this adventurer. He attempted Everest and almost died. Kirsty made it further than this Navy SEAL. She made it further with one leg than this Navy SEAL did. And I tried not to be the Marine that I am, but I was. And besides asking him how many books he wrote, by the way, he's written like 10. Shocking, I know, Navy SEAls and books. He's not in a movie yet. I said, wow, Christy Enos beat you. I just couldn't keep it in my mouth. I was like, I probably shouldn't have said that to a Navy SEAL, but mad love for Kirsty. She's awesome. But I mean, all of your previous winners, contestants, I love seeing them on social. It's really uplifting, and to see our amazing community. I love the veteran community on the good side when they're not being the bad side of them, but the good side and endorsing what you're doing. And you do have the chops to do it, and your passion is there. And the folks that you have surrounding you and you speaking around the country at these events, I mean, you're talking with some of the leaders just empowering women, not just in the veteran community, but like Dr. Jen Welker. I mean, there's one who I know is I remember when the two of you met for the first time, I was sitting between the two of you. I was afraid for my life because one of them's like Mighty Mouse and the other's you. And I'm like, these two are having like a love-in of two badasses. I was inspired as a father of two daughters, trust me. I almost put 3 fingers up. Please don't judge me, everybody. Marines counting. I love myself when I do this.
Yeah, me and Jen are still really good friends. She's actually my husband. He owns a company, and you have to have him on too to talk about his company, Combat Core Fitness. Mm-hmm. She's going to help us. He created a T-shirt for me, a Savage T-shirt, which is so cool. I'm rocking my Surf Like a Girl because that's just what I do. But he created a Savage T-shirt for me and created some acronyms for what Savage, and he's just like, when I think of it, this is what, you epitomize. Obviously, he didn't use that word because he's a Marine, but that's what he meant.
But we'll have him on for sure. I love him. I met him when we were at the Vetties, which was a fun experience. Yeah. I mean, Montel and I talk about the Vetties because I'll never forget that, I'll leave my opinions of the Vetties alone, but when we talk about Montel getting on stage, I still think that was one of the best speeches ever when he pointed his hand, knife hand, at Shulkin, who was the sitting VA, head of the Secretary of the VA. Remember that? We gave the man a standing O, and he was like, if you're not going to take care of our veterans, we'll take care of the vet. I was like, damn, dude. And then like 2 weeks later, he gets fired, which was hilarious. I was like, whoopsie, you just got roasted in Washington, D.C. by veterans. Good job. How's that feel? And you couldn't respond. I was like, there you go. So the MC for your event, it's Tucker Carlson, right?
I don't even know who that is. I'm sorry.
He'll be like, I don't know. Are they all here? What are they here to do? Are these women bad? Anyways, I just don't understand. But what can people do, right? As we get further into this, how can people help? This is obviously a big issue. What can people do? I know a lot of our followers out here, our fans, a lot of them aren't veterans, but they want to support our community. And we've been bringing their attention to the light of what happened with Vanessa Guillen. And having the two veterans we've had, I'm going to introduce you off air to both of them because one of them, I asked a question to both, and the question was this, and we had TMR was on, the Marine rapper. I love.
Oh, he's the best.
Love me some Raymond. I mean TMR. Sorry, Ray. I just sometimes I got to call you by your name just so it's weird to call you TMR or the Marine rapper all the time. But great guy. We interviewed these two on a Saturday when Vanessa's story was being broadly ignored. And I asked both of the veterans, our FEMA servicewomen are on, and I said, how many would you say of our servicewomen who are in uniform, how many have been either sexually assaulted or harassed? The answer I got, number one, Lisa being an awesome Marine, of course, gave the Marine answer quite quickly. She said, all of them. And Jessie just nodded her head, obviously being a victim of just atrocities in uniform. It's quite alarming. And then you add in, it made my brain automatically go, this is horrible, but then I add in knowing you and knowing homeless situation. What can we do to bring this light? Why we have a problem, obviously, we don't respect our women in uniform. We definitely don't respect you when you leave the ranks. There's this, I've seen it. You've talked about it. Marjorie Eastman has also talked about it, about, you know, she parks in the parking spot at Lowe's and people are like, oh, did your husband serve? And she's like, I got a Bronze Star. And like,
right.
The hell are you talking about? Did my husband? Yeah, he did serve, but so did I. Like they look at you like you're weird. Like the way people, when I talk about, like, I'm picking on Lisa, poor Lisa Bodenberg's gonna be like, damn it, Eric, you keep saying my name. But she's a door gunner in the Marine Corps. And when I talk about her, people are like, they allow women to be door gunners? I'm like, number one, she's a Marine, so we don't look at each other like you know how Marines are. You're married to one of us. You know how we behave.
Yeah.
What can we do? What can the folks at home, how can they, number one, help Final Salute? What can they do to help this issue? And then on the whole part, how can we get people to, is this a voting thing? Is this going to our representatives and going, our women in uniform need to be treated as equals. They're going through, they're becoming Green Berets, they're Rangers. I don't know why the SEALs haven't, probably because they don't want to write books or be in a movie. But, you know, we have these amazing branches that have done it. I think James Mattis said it best when he went to Congress and they said, how do you feel about women in combat? And he goes, all I care about is if you can pull your trigger finger works. And I love that he said that, because here's a guy who's infantry, who came up and he's like, I don't give a two shits what you could do. As long as you can kill somebody, that's your job as a Marine. Every Marine's a rifleman. You can pull that trigger and slay bodies. That's what we care about in the Marine Corps. But every branch is that way. So what can people do? Let's start Final Salute first. That's my most important mission. And then as a whole.
Sure. I mean, you can always go online and donate to finalsaluteinc.org. But I always tell people to dig deeper beyond that. See what resources are available in your own backyard locally. If they're not, write to your congressman, write to your senators and say, hey, you know, we looked at the budget, and although you allowed this many millions or whatever for veterans, we see that very little went to women veterans. There was a politician out of California that had instituted a bill to give women veterans more of the budget every year for housing and support and things like that. And I was able to testify to Congress. I think that might have been last August. And I told them some things that they didn't even know about. Hey, you do know that women are losing their kids behind this, right? And they had no idea. I'm like, well, if the homeless shelter can't take the kids, who do you think takes them? The state, the system, you know? And so how do you feel coming back being a combat veteran and someone taking your kid from you? You know, it's a national black eye, you know? So while we're talking about kneeling, there are so many more important things that we could be focusing on. You know, that's why I say for women veterans and veterans, period, you are your best advocate. I love that there are so many women and male veterans that are getting into politics and are getting to these seats, because that's what it's going to take. Our voice, you know, firsthand. So it just pains me when people who disrespect veterans who have never served, or I would have served but living in my basement people, always got some shit to say, you know, so it just like really pains me. But, you know, it's always going to be there unless we change it. But also, you know, even within the veteran community, there's a bunch of bickering and this is and that. So like, you know, if you have coffee, that's great. But, you know, why are you fighting another veteran coffee company? Like, your competition should be like Starbucks or Folgers. Like, those are the top people. Those are the guys that I want to go for. Like me as a professional speaker, I'm not looking at another woman veteran that speaks and goes, I'm going to take her down. Because, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know why we do that amongst the veteran community, but we'll say like, oh yeah, my brothers and my sisters. And then we're trying to take our brothers and our sisters out behind their backs. I'm like, come on, guys. Not even in the civilian world do they do that. You'll have two large companies who will say, hey, well, fuck, let's make coffee together. Yeah. Just make a coffee empire out of this, you know. They're not trying to, you know, obviously they want to have a better product, but they're not trying to hurt the other business in the process. They want to take your business away from you, but it's just like the attacks and things that we're doing. I'm like, we're supposed to be setting the example and the standard of how Americans act and treat each other, and we're treating each other like shits, you know, because of, I don't know why. Oh, because I was infantry. Oh, you're a Pogue, you're a Pogue, you're a Pogue. You know what? I get the same amount of VA disability that you do, infantry guy.
Yep. Very true.
You know, there is no Pogue sliding scale. No. So just wanted to let you know.
No. Yeah, I mean, it's like when that guy, that Marine, posted on TikTok. His it's called a dress code, Kevin, with the mask, and we shared it onto the point. Love that guy, but he said, "I'm just a Pogue." You know how many infantry people jumped on that? And I'm like, number one, I thought it was hilarious, and two, he only used one F-bomb, which proved that he was a Pogue because he wasn't as profound as infantry boys with the F word. But it was hilarious, and he was dead on the point. But you're right. Our bickering in the community is my concern. It's the same thing when I look at these, trying to help our country out during COVID, and I look at both the bills that they bring forward to, stimulus package, and I read them. And I'm always curious because we hear always veterans are important. We're the first, like you said earlier, the dog and pony show. We're the first people they bring up anytime. Oh, we love veterans. We love you. Now they're all besties with Vanessa. They love Vanessa. But, oh, we're going to pay for her funeral. We're going to take care of Vanessa. Really?
There's this thing called SGLI.
Yeah.
But
they don't want us to. You're not supposed to look behind it. But you go look. They never include anything for vets. Or if they do, it's like they make sure they bought I think in the latest stimulus package it included 25 new Apache helicopters. That's important for $238 billion. That's right, with a B. Could you imagine if they put that money and put it towards homeless women veterans? Put it towards, I don't know, PTSD, and the fact that we lose more veterans a day than any other pandemic, anytime, any place, How about we did that? Just give us what you're going to give for the stupid wall that the little orange man wants, and give that to us so we stop losing brothers and sisters. I don't know.
I tell people, you know why they don't want to throw or give more money, allocate more money? Because there's more money to be made in prolonging the problem.
True.
We are a business.
Yep.
Period.
Yep.
If you say, oh, now I help veterans, then people will throw all types of millions of dollars and things at you. Like when people say, Jas, what's your ultimate goal in 20 years for Final Salute? My ultimate goal in 20 years for Final Salute is to not have Final Salute to exist.
Yep.
That is why we work heavily in prevention and not just housing them once they're homeless. We want to keep them in their homes. But we have been so reactive as a country that proactivity doesn't even seem to be a logical concept for lawmakers or government. How about we treat the PTSD when they're at home? How about we give them some sort of stipend or income so they can go to treatment? Because if you have PTSD and you're trying to keep a job, you're probably going to get fired. Yeah. If you're not getting treatment. So it's like there's so many things that can be done preventatively. But again, good money to be made in prolonging the problem.
Yeah. Montel talked about that. He was on our show just last month. And he announced that he has, for the past year and a half, 2 years, invested all this money. He's got it in about 5 VAs, but he has a system that he's proven can cure PTSD. He's coming out with the whole concept, but he's taken it. He's got 5 VAs that are running it currently, getting great results. Just for the fact that somebody's done this on their own is amazing. But what's the holdup? Red tape. VA wants to check more, take more, cost him more, and they're basically bleeding the poor man, which I see their strategy. He says, I'll spend my own money. They're like, well, we'll bleed this out. We'll make this go longer and longer. Montel's doing something right. Montel can't get a show. They won't give him a show. And now he's being probably one of the most, just like you, one of the most outspoken advocates for veterans as a whole. And we need that. Gary Sinise, you're great. You're great, bro. You do a lot, but you're not one of us. You don't understand the whole struggle. All these other people who use us, you're right. During a political season, we're always the pawn. It's cute and attractive to say I help veterans, and this video that's going around where everybody's like, I'm doing 22 push-ups for 25 days. I'm great. You get in shape off that, but I don't see you really helping vets. That's why I support organizations like yours, because I encourage people to do that, because we need to get our women off the street. People need to understand that this is a huge issue. And I believe, what's the number? 55,000 is the number?
The number is so low, and I'll tell you why. Like the point in time count that the VA uses to count. So they count for one night or 1 or 2 nights on the coldest day in January, and that becomes their number. I call myself a fine print aficionado, because I will get down into that point and find where it says, this is not indicative of the total number. You're not going to find women and children on the streets on the coldest day in freaking January. And again, if you're doubled up during that time, you're not counted. So I say 55,000 because I read that one time in the VA article, and after I called them out on it, they deleted the hell out of it. But we've had I wrote a whole white paper, almost said whole ass white paper. See, my Chicago will be coming out. I wrote a white paper that's on our site that breaks down the point in time count and how it is exclusionary by design, and how it hurts veterans and families in particular who are not counted. Anybody can go check it out. So I'm not just out there just running my mouth and doing things. Like, we actually have a transitional housing facility, and right now we're feeding lots of women veterans and their children who are hurt by COVID. We had to shut down our event where we give them professional clothing this year because of COVID, but we're doing so many things. But I'm also a very outspoken advocate. So I'm not just talking, I'm a doer, I'm active out in the community. I'm also a disabled veteran myself. I've had 2 knee replacements, I had major depressive disorder, and I had spinal fusion. But that doesn't stop me from doing what I'm doing, and it only fuels me to do more, because they see us as broken. But what I tell people, I have this exercise I do during some of my speaking engagements where I have the people break a pencil in half, and I have them write, and I say, well, it's a broken pencil, but it still works, right? So,
I love it when you do that, by the way. That's my favorite thing. When you did that the first time when we were at that event in Chicago, that was awesome. I was like, and you watch the room, folks. If you're when she does that, the whole room's like, damn. True. It's very powerful. It's a powerful. And you're right, Jas. The one thing I will say before we go is you are an inspiration to many of us in uniform. You practice what you talk about. You walk the walk. You've lived the life. And to me, you're. I mean, look at what you've done. Number 1, you're married to a Marine. 2, your son serves. You have your own stress, right? You understand the stress of it, and it doesn't matter what branch he's in, even though it's the Air Force. We won't pick on the Air Force. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Come on, it was like there's no way. And folks, by the way, Jas didn't talk about it, but she has Discharge, an amazing animated series. And by the way, there's an Air Force character in there, and it's basically picking on her own son. So I can pick on the Air Force guy because
that's right. I'm working on my next film too, so I have another short film coming out called The Sofa Bed, which focuses a lot on Jesus' character. So you know who Jesus is he's the drill sergeant in our quartet. But so I'm working on my second short film, and again, I've channeled my major depressive disorder into telling stories using comedy and animation, because I know somewhere in Hollywood they're going to make the next big bloody war movie or another PTSD documentary, and I'm going to focus on comedy and animation and telling our stories, because we deal with a lot of our downtimes by joking on each other, ragging on each other, and just making fun of very bad situations. And so that's my method of storytelling.
So it's not going to be a bad zombie movie? I just want to make sure, because
there will be no zombies, unfortunately. I think someone already has that.
They did
that genre on lock, and so I'm going to let them have their thing included.
I'd rather support yours. But yeah, I just wanted to tell you that, because to me you are an inspiration to so many. I hope the folks who are watching perk up and pay attention to what you do. I mean, from Final Salute, your story. You actually, you created it from your own experience. And I think a lot of people don't understand that's where this comes from. This isn't wounded warriors that you're pocketing the money and going off and going on exotic trips. No, you put this back into your organization. You walked the walk. You were homeless. You went through Katrina, right? I mean, you had to walk through everything and get slapped down. You deserve the best, and I always want people to support Final Salute because you're killing it. You deserve it. I want to thank you so much for joining us today. So before you go, tell folks how they can find you and go do all that. We're also, just so you know, Jas, we're going to put everything in the links, so people will be able to click Final Salute. They'll be able to go to Miss Veteran America. And also, we're going to drop that white paper in there. I'm going to share the hell out of that, because I want folks to understand what we're talking about. This isn't some smoke and mirrors political thing. This is the honest to God truth that they're not going to talk about on mainstream media. They're going to be like, oh, everything's fine. Veterans are happy. Nothing's bad. It's great. They come home. We're great. We're not messed up. Nobody's killing themselves. We're cool. That's what they want to believe, right? We're great. But you
can definitely check us out on finalsaluteinc.org, Miss Veteran America.org. I'm on Twitter. I'm finally on Instagram.
I saw you on Insta. I was like, look, she's there. I remember you telling me, I'll never go on there.
Yeah, I was against it, but now I'm like, okay, I'll do it. But I'm on Twitter and Instagram. I'm both Jas Boothe with the number 1. And you can find me also on LinkedIn for my more professional side. So I'm out there. Look me up. Awesome. Got anything to say? Bring it. You know, you can either bring the goodness, bring the smoke, but hey, let's chat, let's be respectful, and let's continue to make a difference.
Absolutely. Well, Jas, I want to thank you again for joining our show. Everyone else, thank you so much, and we'll be right back after these messages. Thank you for watching today's show. As always, if you'd like to be a guest or you know somebody that we should have on our show as a guest, feel free to email us at hello@tothepointtv.com. We look forward to hearing from you. And you can also email us if you have a complaint, want to give us kudos, high fives, or if you have an additional question for a guest. Feel free to email us again at hello@tothepointtv.com. Our Twitter is up and running, and it's for social good. Not yelling and screaming political or anything else crazy on our Twitter. So follow us on Twitter at @ToThePointTV, and we'll tweet back at you. And as always, we want you to check out our IG. We love Instagram. Our Instagram stories are up, they're buzzing, and they're meant for you. We love our fans and followers, and we want you to know who our guests are coming on, and we want you to engage with us, and we want to engage with you. So make sure you're following us at Instagram at @ToThePointTV. Now, we love you on Facebook, and we want to make sure, because you're probably watching this on Facebook, you're like, why would I? You already follow us. But tell a friend that they can come follow our show and never miss a live episode. As you know, here on Facebook, make sure you head, if you're not on Facebook watching this, then it's different, but our Facebook is To The Point with Eric Mitchell. So make sure you follow us there so you always get notified when our show goes live at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Now, for the folks over on YouTube. Now, YouTube, we love our YouTube, and our channel is growing, and we love you there. Now, if you missed the live show at 12 p.m. Eastern, you can catch the premiere, which is re-recorded. The premiere on YouTube goes down every day at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, and simply just go do that. So remember, with YouTube, what we want you to do is smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and flick that bell. That's right, hit the bell. Give that bell some bell love, and that way you know when we're on air and you can catch our latest episode. Check out our playlist. All of them broken down by the day and the guest and show, so you can always stay up to date. Once again, on behalf of the entire team here at To The Point, we want to thank you for, again, tuning in and watching our show, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow on To The Point. As always, I am your host, Eric Mitchell. Be safe, be strong, be smart, and God bless America.
Let's get to the point with Eric Mitchell. Let's get to the point. Sit and enjoy. This is Eric Mitchell. He the host of the show. Get to the point. He is the voice. We needed this, something more. This a daily show that's known for politics and the sports. Ain't no limit to whoever you may see at this point. To celebrities, Eric he's beast in the joint. As a veteran, put him at ease, then anoint. Every conversation can never be disappointed. Whether tragic or it's happy, Eric will cover whatever's happening. Whether it be a gymnast, toe tapping, talking about nearly any athlete, not taking a back seat. You're never gonna get it past T. Everybody running from it, it's a stampede. But he's on it like this man who took that knee. Mr. Mitchell's way too crafty.